table under the tree for me. Been an awful good girl, Santa baby. Yourself a merry little Christmas night. And have yourself a merry little Christmas.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. It is day 2 of Vlogmas, and I'm bringing you guys a yummy video. I've been wanting to share this other side of me. I love to cook. I love to cook for my family. I love hosting. I love being around people that enjoy food, laughter, and just family in general. So I thought that I would bring to you guys this nice homely meal. So if you're wanting to learn a good recipe for this winter, I definitely feel like you guys would love this, especially if you love pasta. So we're gonna start off with cutting up our green and red bell peppers, onions, and mushrooms. And then on top of that, I normally use fresh minced garlic, but I did not bring it from my home. I'm at my mother's house, so I just decided to use some regular minced garlic. If you love Cajun pastas, this is definitely going to be your best friend. But I did have to watch out for my mom because she is not into spicy, and I was just like, oh, so let me make sure I don't overdo it with the spices. So this is me right now, just making sure I cut this up, and you're going to see me put all of this stuff in that green bowl over there and mix it together. As of lately, I've honestly been obsessed with fresh ingredients, especially nowadays where you have kids and, you know, health is a big factor in a lot of things that I do in my life. I just was like, you know what, let me do something better for my family and let's do more organic food. And when I tell you, it's changed the way I viewed food. And you guys know I'm a foodie, so it's changed the way I view food. It's changed the way, you know, I feel like my taste buds have matured, because before, getting me to eat the onions, the mushrooms, and just other things that I'd be like, oh no, don't put that on my plate. Oh my gosh, I am obsessed with using fresh foods. Now, mushrooms, believe it or not, this is like the first time I've actually put on, like, you know, my big girl panties with mushrooms, because before, when it came down to certain things like spinach, mushrooms, the onions, and I haven't gotten the squash and stuff yet. I don't know if I'm gonna like it, but maybe if I make it, I might like it. But when I tell you, adding all these fresh ingredients to your food, from fajitas to, you know, elaborate meals like on Thanksgiving or just any meal, I promise you it'll seriously change the way you feel after you eat, the flavors that will sit on your tongue. My mom was literally like, oh my gosh, I love when you cook because the flavors just sit there. And you know, that's a big compliment coming from my mom because she's an actual chef. So you know, that's That's some good cooking right there. But this is just me cutting up the mushrooms, and I'm not going to mix the two though. I am going to keep them in separate bowls because I'm going to combine them when I put them in the pot. Now these are some, I think these were jumbo, either jumbo or extra large shrimp. I did not dice them because the way I was going to plate them. So this is me taking the skin off of them. I had sat them in some cold water because if you put them in warm water, they're going to cook. You know, shrimp cooks fast. So I was like, you know, let me put them in some cool water. So this is me dabbing them off too, because when I season them and put the binder on, I'm using Kinder's seasoning for one. This one is called the Perfect Blend. It's garlic, onion powder, salt, pepper, stuff like that. Just the basic needs that we all use. And if y'all don't know, I'm putting y'all on because Kinder's, oh my gosh, Kinder's is so yummy. When I tell you it takes your food to the next level, the raw ingredients, the Kinder's, and then just the slow cooking. Oh my gosh, it fills up the house. But this is me putting the seasoning on the shrimp, and then it calls for an egg, but I didn't want to do that just because I just didn't feel like it. So I'm going to use mustard instead. Also, the thing about using mustard as a binder, it just also adds that extra like kick of flavor in there when you're trying to fry something. So if you're ever thinking about frying fish, frying chicken, pork chops, whatever, use mustard. If you don't want to use an egg, use mustard. So this is me kind of like gauging how much flour I need because I didn't want to make a big bag of flour and seasoning and then it go to waste. So this is me pouring it into the bowl directly and kind of just gauging how much I need so that none of this stuff goes to waste, just because groceries are expensive, guys. After I've gotten the amount of flour I want in there, I go back in with my seasoning because, you know, if you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned. So I went back in with some more of that same Kinder's, and now I'm seasoning the flour because I don't want my shrimp to be bland. And trust me, it was not. It was definitely hitting. So now that I have all of my components for my pasta, it's time to move these babies to the stove. So it called for also using olive oil and butter. However, the butter that my mom had, because like I said, she's a chef, so she knows best. So it's plant butter, but it's also olive oil based. So it gave me the best of both worlds. So what I did was I turned on my pots first, make sure they're nice and hot. And I have two because my babies, they weren't going to eat this specific pasta. So I made them a regular spinach Alfredo. And yes, we're making it from scratch. Yes, I am that girl. So if you don't know how to make Alfredo from scratch, pay attention. So and I promise you it's real simple. So what you're going to do is you're going to melt some butter in a pan. And then for us, what I did was right after that butter got nice and hot, I went ahead and I dumped all of the ingredients into the pot for us, which was the red and green bell peppers, the onions, and the mushrooms. And we're going to get that in there and make sure all that stuff is getting soaked up and really putting that flavor into that butter and just fumigating the house with delicious smells. So for my baby's Alfredo, which it goes the same for all Alfredo, honestly, after you put the butter in the pot, you're going to pour in your heavy cream. Simple, right? Okay. And then after you get the heavy cream in there, you're going to put some pepper, salt, onion powder, garlic powder, and you're going to put some grated Parmesan. Okay. You can also do shredded Parmesan too, but preferably grated because it's easier to mix and it doesn't really clump up, because sometimes the shredded parm will clump up on you, but the grated Parmesan is definitely what's going to go in there. And honestly, it's up to you at this point to figure out, you know, how much of that parm you want to taste. I love to taste my parm when I'm making it, and I have no complaints whenever I make my Alfredo. So you're going to pour that in there, and honestly, you're just going to let that bubble over and get some of that nice ooey gooey Parmesan going on in there. And after that, you can throw in your spinach or whatever meat or whatever else you have in there. If you're gonna throw in your chicken, cook your chicken first and then put it in there. Your shrimp, you can honestly just put it in there and let that cook in there, but I like to cook all my quote unquote meats first and then I'll drop them in there. But this is me stirring this in there, and as you can see, the first pot with all the other ingredients is simmering and all the stuff smells good. So now I'm going to add the heavy whipping cream, and we're going to do the same thing essentially that I did in that back pan in the front pan. I'm also going to go in with some Cajun seasoning. So like I said, my mom doesn't really like her food to be spicy. So I was like, let me gauge this. And then I actually had her come in the kitchen and taste test just to make sure it wasn't too spicy for her. So now that I have that on there, I'm going to go into that first pot again. I'm going to put the parm and the grated parm and the shredded parm in there as well. Also, another note for you guys, once that heavy cream and parm starts bubbling, turn your pot down to like a medium or like a simmer, because you don't want the stuff to start burning. Obviously, if you have nonstick, you're fine, but I would still turn it down because you have other ingredients that you might want to put in. So make sure to turn that down. Also, you could put in your spinach or whatever else may have you in there and just mix it in there, because that spinach is going to cook down and get nice and soft for that Alfredo. While that was cooking over, I was also frying my shrimp just to have as the topper on there. You can also sprinkle it with some parsley. Don't overdo it because, I mean, you know, parsley doesn't go on everything. But I also garnished it with some shredded parm. I also put on some garlic bread twist for the dish. And when I tell you everybody got quiet, and you know it's something when everybody gets quiet while they're eating, it was delicious. Everybody was nice and full. My kids ended up having leftover sauce, and my mom was like, girl, leave that with me because I'm going to use that in the morning. So I was just like, cool beans. But that is pretty much it for this recipe, guys. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to comment down below. And thank you guys for tuning in to day 2 of my Vlogmas. I will see you on day 3. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and of course comment, talk with your girl. I love you guys so much, and I cannot wait to see you guys in the rest of Vlogmas. Bye.